Hello folks, I am pleased to join you here on today's bright and sunny afternoon. Yeah, we have gone inland from the coast and now you see me sitting on this table full of bird poop and what other things are on this. What's more important is this bottle right here. Here, among the many different forests in Washington State, there are many farms, many fields, many orchards, many groves, all which grow one special fruit, the apple. The apple reigns supreme here in Washington State. It's a big thing. The climate is just right. It's such a temperate climate in these areas that lots of apples are going to be grown. Different varieties. I don't know what varieties used to make this apple cider, but I thought, hey, we're in apple country, why not get a little treat, apple cider, here at Lattin's Country Farm and Cider Mill. Well, apple cider is no ordinary apple juice because it has the tanginess associated with the juice of apples, but it's got a little kick, almost like, think of a step up from apple juice. That's what cider is, and we're going to enjoy some made from the local apples of Washington State. Well, it's certainly been a while since I've had apple cider, but it's just got a little bit of a kick to it. I don't know what they add, but it tastes different than a juice. It's an apple cider. This is what I recommend if you go to Washington State. Either get an apple cider or better yet, find the actual source of the cider, the apples. Go to any orchard, there's a lot of them, but this is the closest little family farm I could find to our real destination of today. Maybe 10 minutes north of here, you'll find the capital city of Washington State. A little bit inland from the coast, but not completely at the center. And it's at an important strategic location. Well, it seems like I've either made a nice friend, or he just wants my apple cider. I'm sorry. This apple cider's for me, fella. Anyway, let's not hesitate. Olympia, Washington is today's destination. It's a city of 55,000, and it's got sort of a mix between a large city feel and a nice walkable small town. There's plenty to see here, right in a geographic spot that is oh so important to Washington's history. I'll explain a little bit more about that, but let's enjoy the rest of this apple cider, and let's enjoy experiencing Olympia, Washington, capital of the Evergreen State. Now, although the body of river behind which we're standing may look like a river, it is certainly not exactly. This is Budd Inlet, and this is one of the most southern points of the large, expansive, intricate Puget Sound, part of the greater, even greater, Salish Sea. So this is just one small strand of the tangled mess of all these different tributaries and other bodies of water that eventually drain into the large Salish Sea, of course. It's almost as tangled as my hair after 5 weeks of not being able to use conditioner, having no access to it. Yeah, it's a mess back there. But what's more important is that this river, this body of water, can be accessed from any part of this greater Salish Sea region. It's a sea which is highly navigable. So from ancient times, the natives would use these passages on the water for trade and communication. It was a whole network of facilitation between different tribes and cultures, each with a sort of a common respect towards this body of water. Think about it, we're in generally interior Washington, we're not on the Pacific coast, we're not on the Strait of Juan de Fuca, but since there's this whole network, and thanks to the Salish Sea, we could go from here, hop on one of these boats at Percival Landing, here in Olympia, and theoretically sail all the way to the interior of British Columbia. I mean, with all this geographic fortune going for the people who settled this region, is it any wonder why it was a heavily populated area for much of Native American history? The Coast Salish people inhabited these lands, and they were mighty fortunate to be the recipients of beautiful, bountiful harvests of fish and trout that were here in these waters. And these coastal Salish people spread from interior Canada all the way down to interior Washington, all across the Salish Sea, forming a cultural and dialectal continuum. Sometimes, though, what may appear as a mess on a map, a geographic entanglement, can actually spell very, very good news for the people who settled here. And it means that the people here were lucky enough to be part of a long-distance trading network. So thank you to these waters. You've been a time-honored treasure. Just look at that. We are right here, Olympia, Butt Inlet, the very southernmost point of this gargantuan system. Little waterways all over. It's incredible. And this can get you all the way up to Seattle, all the way up to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, all the way up to Canada. It's incredible. Lots of symbols of fish, trout, and salmon here in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. These fish were a big thing. They were the lifestyle. Fishing was a huge part of the way of life, the traditions of the native, indigenous folk of Washington and Olympia, of course. Oh, how funny. Even the skyscrapers have fish on them. Fish is everywhere. It's a ubiquitous part of the Pacific Northwest culture. Hey, look at that. There's a mosaic map of a couple of these inlets at the southern point of the Puget Sound. And that's us right here. Hey, that icon looks familiar. What could that mean? Whoa! Do you see that? It's almost like that mosaic from the other side of the lake came to life. Yeah, how interesting. Relax, guys, it's not how it actually works. No. But that is a state capitol building, and we ought to get a closer look. Wow, we're really getting lucky with animals. Well, after a long series of switchbacks back and forth up this hill, we have reached this mighty large building, part of a larger capitol complex. Yes, Washington State's Capitol is right where we stand. So how did this building come to be? You know, honestly, I should probably get to the front because this is not a flattering view of the Capitol. We can get a much better view. But as we're walking towards a better view, I need to tell you the story of Olympia first. Hey, you can see those mountains still. And those mountains, I think, give this place the title Olympia for the Olympic Mountains. Washington State has nothing to do with the Olympic Games at all. Olympia is for those Olympic mountains. In 1792, George Vancouver led his expedition all throughout the Pacific Northwest coast, and he landed here in the area now today known as Olympia. And you guys may be saying, Vancouver? Isn't that the big city of Canada? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. George Vancouver has been immortalized with so many different place names around the Pacific Northwest. There's Vancouver, Canada. There's Vancouver, Washington, just right by the Columbia River. There's Vancouver Island, which we saw when we went to Olympic National Park, right at the tip of that peninsula. Far away, at a distance, we saw it. There's a tiny little Vancouver River. Yeah, but enough of that. Vancouver is the guy who laid foundation to the modern history of Olympia. And now we see a great Capitol building in front of us. It was sort of wishy-washy who exactly owned the Northwest. Was it the British? Was it the Americans? Was it the Russians? It was just sort of that frontier outpost land used for a lot of fur trading. Yeah, but come the mid-1800s, there's a whole swarm of people from America, American citizens, coming west and reaching what is now Olympia. And this, sadly, is when a lot of ugly conflict between the native Salish people and the Americans take place. Lots of ugly conflicts. A war around the Puget Sound is waged, and it's a sad, tragic tale that shouldn't really belong too much into this video. I want to keep it a happy, jolly video. But yeah, there's a lot of conflict going on around the mid-1800s to the end of the 1800s, as is the story for much of the frontier. But in 1853, Washington gets its own territory. It is now Washington Territory. And Olympia was chosen as this rudimentary government site for Washington Territory. Once it achieved statehood, Olympia was kept as a place of administration and management. And that's where we see this building today. So, now that we're here at the Washington State Capitol, here at Olympia, what do you guys think? Nice building, right? I don't know. We've now been to, I think, 38 state capitol buildings, and every time I see a state capitol building use the same old neoclassical design, I don't know, it gets old quickly. You see over and over the same design, and you appreciate little differences. Maybe a gold or a copper or a silver dome makes it nice, but it's just all stone. So there's nothing really special about the Washington State Capitol building that I can detect right now. I don't know. I mean, it sure is a towering building. It's gigantic, as a Capitol building may or may not be. I think they should be small and humble, but I mean, if it's towering like this and it promotes a sense of power and authority, well, I gotta give it a sense of respect, right? So, with that said, I mean, we should definitely see if the interior deviates from the norm in any way. Honestly, not bad. With all this marble architecture and glossy artwork and molding and bright lights, and it's just all magical. You know, I feel as if walking through these halls, not only am I a mere public servant, but I'm one of the elites of Washington State, on my way to a Senate meeting, being able to veto laws. You know, I'm wondering if it really gets to the head of these public officials when they're in such a grand building. Washington, living it up as a state since 1889. Took a few more years before the people assembled and met here in 1905, but regardless of whatever you think about the Washington State Capitol building, at least we can all agree that it's a step up from Oregon. Get it? Because we were walking up these steps. Alright, I'm done. Let's get out of this building. Oh, cool, a bust of Washington in Washington. We've seen a little bit of the farmland, the surrounding countryside. We saw the waterways, which make Olympia and its surrounding area that much more special, and which contributed to the history of this region. And finally, we've seen the grand old state capitol, the entity which Olympia is most famous for today. But what else does the Olympia of today have other than governmental related buildings? Well, we're gonna find out about that right now. Olympia clock. Always fun to walk through an alley and seeing what potential dangers are ahead of us. So, overall, I would say the downtown of Olympia is pretty pleasant. Lots of shops of various interests, caters to a wide assortment of people. Yeah, I can't really say anything wrong about it. I will say it's got a lot of artwork. More artwork, not just paintings, but sculptures and all sorts of abstract designs all across the town. More so than the average town, I would say. Other than that, it's a bit difficult to find anything that makes Olympia stand out among all the other West Coast cities. Yeah, there is some sort of art on every wall side. Every corner has got something. Okay, maybe I take that back about finding nothing that stands out. Maybe Olympia should be known for having the best alley art, because I'm really seeing it and I dig it. This is how you decorate a town. Now this is very, very, very weird. We are outside the limits of Olympia. And we're in the countryside once again. But this time we're in a puzzling array within thousands of earthen mounds. And we've seen mounds all over the country, from Mississippi to Illinois to Florida. We've seen plenty of these mounds, and we know that the natives here in these places where mounds were found were created for sociological, cultural, religious, spiritual reasons. Not these mounds, though. Many people, when they first explored, American citizens who came to this land, they had their theories. Everyone had a different idea of what could have formed these thousands of mounds. And today, there's just no explanation. Some people say it's because of glacial retreat. Some people say it's because of sediment buildup. Some people have theorized that this is a result of earthquakes, because once again, the Pacific Northwest is a very seismically active, earthquake-prone region. Nobody can really explain what the deal is with these mounds up to today. There's only theories, there's no foregone conclusion. But I thought it would just be a nice idea to conclude this video strolling through these hundreds, thousands even, of Mima Mounds here at the Mima Mounds State Recreation Area. This is truly nothing that we've really seen before. We've seen man-made mounds, but these are natural. We do know that for certain. These are natural, not man-made mounds. It would take quite a lot more effort for people to create mounds hundreds of feet, hundreds of yards away from where we are right now. It goes on and on and on throughout this little prairie. And these are not just native to Washington State. You can find these Mima mounds. They have other names, but in Arizona and in California, namely, there are similar mounds that you can find here. Just sticking out. I have no idea, truly, how large these are, but the Salish people even have a story for the creation of these mounds. They've long said that there was once a woman who would not wash her face, and she was kind of a disgrace to the tribe. She wouldn't wash her face, and everyone was saying, just wash your face, come on, it's no big deal. And she was like, well, if I wash my face, there's going to be a curse bestowed upon this land. But she finally washed her face, but then a worldwide flood occurred, and when the flood subsided and everything was peaceful again, these mounds appeared out of nowhere, sticking out of the ground, almost as if the curse had done its course. Now, could this long-held native myth hold within it some hidden secrets that modern geologists and scientists can gather hints from? Who knows? Because we do know there was a worldwide flood, and at the end of it, the world was dramatically changed. But who knows? I am no scientist. I'm no expert in these things. I do like questioning and pondering and inquiring about how real-world truth can sort of correlate. That it's not mutually incompatible with mythology. There are some great legends in the world that really have parallels with natural history. It's fun to learn about. So I think this is a great way to end it off here in Olympia, capital of the Evergreen State. Well, yeah, that ends it. I have nothing more for you guys. More Washington is in the works over the coming days. So until then, coming to you from Mima Mounds, the mysterious, unexplained work of nature that has stumped scientists and experts to this day. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.